Hey, it's Azriel Lawless, and once again, you have stumbled into Vella and found yourself another Lawless interview of an author that writes for the wonderful new reading platform from Amazon called Kindle Vella. Today's writer is Alex Nader. Alex, say hi.
Hi.
And so you are a writer out on Kindle Vella. How many stories do you have going out there?
So far, just the one. I'm just kind of early into my Vella journey, we'll say.
Well, yes, but you're certainly not a brand new writer, and I want to talk about that with you. So,
Sure.
when did you get started writing?
So I started my first novel when I was 23, 22, something like that. So like 13, 14 years ago, give or take. Um, I think I always goofed around with creative things. Like I always liked kind of creating and telling stories, but I never thought to make it a book until I was a little bit older. Like I feel like I see a lot of these young people out here. They're like, I've been writing since I was 6 years old or something, and I'm like, I was I started trying to query when I like agents and stuff when I was like 25. I think was when I first like really started trying to get into it. Um,
Cool. It's almost refreshing. Like you said, I've interviewed a number of people. And it's like, I don't know, I wrote my first story when I was 6 or when I was 8. And I'm going, well, maybe 6 decades for me. But anyway. So it's almost refreshing. So about 25, you started querying folks, and you said earlier that it was about 13, 14 years ago. So at that point, were you still trying to go the traditional publishing route?
yeah, I did like everything that new authors could do wrong. I did wrong. I finished my first book and I edited it myself, and like I will 100% upfront admit that I am not an editor. I like English was my least favorite subject in school because I do not enjoy grammar. Um, so I finished my first story and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm gonna send it out to agents, and just started like blind querying agents.
Oh, wow.
And I definitely like looked to see if they represented what I wrote,
Right.
but the manuscript was not anywhere near where a manuscript should be. So I sent it out to tons of people, and all rejections, just straight rejections. So I wrote another novel, same thing, all rejections. And then I started trying publishers, like small house publishers that accepted direct queries. So I started sending out to these small presses, and I had one person who um, she liked my story and thought it needed a little bit of work. And to be completely honest, it needed a indescribable amount of work. But we just it never I hadn't learned yet to get to the point to make it better. So on to the third novel. And
Yeah.
these are totally different novels, or different universes and everything. And the third novel, I found my voice. And the first two novels I wrote how I thought people were supposed to write, like how I thought books were supposed to sound. And then I don't know if it was just all of the rejections, or maybe I just got a little bit of like confidence under my belt. But that third book, I was like, this is me. This is how I talk. This is how I write. This is my story to tell. And that story was called Beast of Burden. It's about a demon hunter named Ty Burden. And although that didn't find an agent, that ended up getting picked up by a small press called J. Taylor Publishing,
Oh,
who
cool.
signed it for a 3-book contract.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I wrote the 3 books, and Jay Taylor eventually went out of business. It's tough out there.
It is. Yeah.
um, so I republished. I refreshed all 3 books. I got new covers. and I republished all of those, and then a fourth and fifth in that series.
And where did you publish those?
Those are all self-published. Those are at that point. This is maybe 4 years ago.
Right.
I was a lot more comfortable in my own writing skin, so to speak, and within like the publishing world. And I just kind of wanted to like full control. Like, I've seen what a publisher did with these books. What can I do with these books? So that's when I went self-publishing on those.
So did the publisher provide any editing or anything? I would imagine so if they published it.
They did. I have worked with some wonderful editors in my time. Some people that really understood me and my voice and really made it better. Unfortunately, the original publisher that I worked with had a very strong opinion on how things needed to sound. And they kind of like squashed my voice a little bit and kind of like canned it down to something that was not quite me. Yeah. So when I refreshed it, a lot of the refreshing that I did was actually taking the editor out of it.
I see.
And they did. I mean, they fixed up. I learned a lot. I learned so much about how to write better. But at the same time, I found myself, I hadn't read the first book in years at that point, because I've been, moving on to other things. And I went back and I was reading it, and I was like, I could tell what sentences the editor had put in, because I was like, no, this was never me. I would never use these words in this order.
Right.
So it was a learning experience. And it was my first acceptance in anything. So like, I wanted to make them happy. So every time they, kind of threw something at me, I said, oh yeah, whatever say. And, now my most recent, totally separate book that got published, it's coming out next month. The editor, when they had stuff and, they worked a little better with me, but, if there was something I disagreed on, I was definitely a lot more confident to come back and be like,
now, how do you work on it? I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry. So sorry. I'm curious about how you guys exchange your work, but please keep talking. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. How me and the current editor?
Yeah. Just the mechanics of it. Just how do you work it? Because I know it's a mundane question, but I like to know. It's sure. Interesting. Like, do you use Word and then pass it over to them, and you turn on track changes and you can see everything they've added, and then when you get it back, you can accept or reject it on its own merit that way. So you do it that way.
Yeah, it's track changes for everything that they clean up, and then they were actually great and left comments of. I try to use a lot of humor in my writing, so I would definitely. It's nice with an editor after you go through a couple hundred pages of things you screwed up. Yeah. It's really cool to have haha, this joke was funny, or this scene was really poignant, or so it's cool to get those little like pick-me-ups along the editing process.
Yes, I think they have editor 101 classes, and they tell them all to do that or something, because mine does that.
Yeah, and it helps. It
does.
Because it's tough going through edits from like I said, hundreds of pages of just red. Like, oh crap.
Oh man. It is rough, but you did make me feel better on one front, I'll tell you, because so many other writers are writing on products I've never heard of.
I've tried. I have tried a couple of times of co-writing with people, and did Google Docs. Docs. Just because if you're collaborating with someone, it's really, when they write and you write, like, it shows up instantly. But I tried Scrivener, which is, I think, kind of like the big one that people love. And it's too many features and too many things and too many shiny whistles, and I need like a blank page in front of me and nothing else, where I start like getting distracted and clicking around and checking things. I would like, it's a little kind of like hipster of me, but I would write on a typewriter if it were easier to transpose into Word.
I tell you what, dude, I was I wrote in my late 20s and early 30s. And of course, the only thing available then was the traditional publishing arena.
Mhm.
And I actually wrote 3 books. Okay. So the second and the third were fairly decent. Got an agent, and then it went south because my second book was 700 pages, and it needed to be cut down. And the editor said, oh yeah, have her cut it down and then send it back to me, and yeah, I'll take it forward. And so I did that. And by the time I did that, which it took 3 months to do that,
That's substantial, yeah.
yeah, then that editor had moved houses and was already somewhere else. But that's not all of it. The other part of that was it happened to be the same year that I went from working on a DOS computer for my writing, right? You remember that? No distractions, no nothing. That was what you're doing. There you go. There you go. Then I got, here we go. Here comes Windows 95, which it was, 10 years old when you were born or something, but but here it came. And then all of a sudden there was color. And yes, the programs were crappy, but we still like to play with them anyway. And then here came the internet. Oh, dear God. And here came IRC and every other thing. So more than my disappointment, I think it was because I went into computers as a vocation. It grabbed hold of me and didn't let me go. And so that's the way I went. But I've always blamed it on that crappy editor, but I don't think it's true anymore. I think it was the advent of the machine. The one that we all sit in front of many, many hours a day.
It does, yeah.
It was certainly a potent drug when it first came out, for sure. So, or I found it to be so. So, yeah. So, no, yeah. If a program has too many whistles and bells, then it's not your thing, because like me, you're like a crow and you look over and you look over, oh, shiny, this takes my attention, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the program, but I have a friend and she loves some program, and she sent me a screenshot of it, and it shows like every character in her novel, like how much, like charts of like how much screen time they have in the novel. Like it's like chapter 1, character A, B, and C appear in this chapter. Chapter 2, characters A and C appear in this chapter. Chapter 3, characters A and D, and it's really cool to look at. But like I just need to sit down at the keyboard and write. Like I was a pantser until recently, so like even having an outline is still kind of a distraction for me, because I'm like clicking back and forth to the outline to make sure that I'm staying on track.
Yeah, I don't I used to outline. I don't do it anymore, except in really broad strokes, like where I want to start, where I want to go. And if it's going to be broken into 3 segments, like one of my stories is, where they're going to break, what's the big event going to be at the end of each those 2 before we get to the third one and have a better break, an even better ending. So yeah, that's I don't think I could write any other way. In fact, I know I can't, because I tried. What it would be an exercise in foolishness for me, because I would sit down and say in an outline, however many pages I made it, whether it was 2 pages or 20 pages, I'd say where I wanted the book to go, but the characters always had something else on their minds. Always had somewhere else they wanted to go. And it just seems to work better for me to sort of just hit the big fat bullet points and let them do the rest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at least that's been my way. You also are writing in my favorite genre to both read and write in, and that is fantasy fiction, including urban fantasy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I want to hear about when you heard about Vella, because I know that you've got other books out there. So you started when you were 23 or 24,
Yeah.
and your third novel, Beast of Burden, took off. You got it published by Jay Taylor. So
Mhm.
at this point, you're learning the ropes, you're in there. Then Jay Taylor takes a slam dunk. You get your work back, you go through it, you reestablish your voice in it, and you get it up on Kindle, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And did you go with Kindle Unlimited?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good, cool. So then at this point, you're maybe what? Maybe 32, 33 in there somewhere.
So I'm 35 now.
Oh, okay.
And this everything. So I had my 3 original Beast of Burden books, and then I actually sold another book called Hero Engine that was like a noiry superhero. It was kind of like the TV show The Boys. If anyone knows that, before I'd ever even heard of The Boys, like it's pretty much like what if the Avengers were douchebags? It's kind of the pitch.
Wow.
And I sold it to a publisher called I don't remember, because they also went out of business, and it was a huge mess. It was like this publishing collective. Aside from all that, like I feel like I'm being like super down on like the industry or industry people, and it's not that at all. I've just had a couple random experiences lead me to where I'm at now. But so in between Burdens 2 and 3, I wrote Hero Engine and sold it. The Beast of Burden publisher and the Hero Engine publisher both went out of business the same month. So I had been working really hard years up to this point to, like kind of break in. And I wasn't even like really, I was never going to quit my job from the royalties that I was making.
Right.
But I was doing a thing. I was selling books. I was, putting in the work, and then both these books crashed hard the same month. And at the same time, I started a new job, which I'd worked in the service industry my whole life: hotels, restaurants, retail, whatever. Up to that point, I started a job at a bank where I actually had to think for 8 hours a day instead of just like mindlessly cutting pizzas.
Right.
I could sit in front of an oven and cut pizzas for 8 hours and think about all of the fantasy stories in my head. And then
Right.
by the time it came down to write, they were fully fleshed out because I spaced out at work all day.
Exactly.
And then I got to the point where I had to think all day. And like, it really shot my creativity, all of that happening at the same time. So I took like 3 or 4 years where I didn't write. Like I started and stopped probably 6. I wrote 8 novels straight through, like never pitched an idea, never like got a little ways in and like bailed. I just like, if I started a book, I finished it. And after all that happened, I started like 6 books and got like 10 or 20,000 words in and was like, no, this doesn't work. Move on. So it's just been in the last year and a half or 2 years of COVID, maybe, that that I've started putting all of the wheels back into motion and getting all of my stuff back into print again.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And Vella's a big part of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's the new shiny thing.
It is the new shiny thing. So now here comes the question: when did you hear about Vella, and how did you hear about Vella?
I heard about it, I feel like fairly early on, just from writers circles. It's, hey, there's a new thing, what's everyone think about this? And when something brand new happens, I feel like a lot of people are like, I'm going to sit and wait and see how this turns out.
Yeah.
And I guess I was one of those people. Like I'd known about it for a minute, and I was in the process of getting all of my old stuff back into print, and I kept saying, I'll look at it later. Just let me get this done. Oh, I'll look at it later. Just let me get this done. Just one more book. Let me get this,
Yeah.
And so finally, things have just worked out that I'm working on an original story now that's set in the same universe as the Beast of Burden books. So I already knew that like agents and publishers would be less interested since it's already part of a series. So I knew when I started this book, I knew I was going to be self-publishing it. So it's like, you know what, let's just kind of fly by the seat of our pants and put it up as we go and see what happens.
Oh, okay. So when did you start? And what is its name? I don't want to get it wrong. I know part of
It's Demon Hunter Academy.
Demon Hunter Academy, and it's part of the Southern Demon Hunter universe, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be the Beast of Burden books and then Demon Hunter Academy are
Okay.
all set in the South and about killing demons.
Well, it's pretty awesome. I like it. How many episodes do you have so far?
10 and 11 goes live Sunday, which is tomorrow as we're recording.
Ooh, very cool. So are you set up ahead much, scheduled ahead much?
Yeah, I've got myself a little bit of leeway. I've written 21 or 22 chapters, and I'm doing 2 a week every Wednesday and Sunday. So I've got myself a little bit of a lead up just in case we hit a bump along the way.
Right. I've lately found out how valuable that was myself, but I hadn't done it. I was like one day away from Vella starvation. So yeah, I agree with that. That's a very good plan. Now, where did you get the idea? I know that Demon Hunter Academy is part of a trilogy for you. Where did you get the ideas for like the original trilogy to begin making the universe? Where did the original ideas come to you from?
So the original idea for the series way back when, it was a song lyric that I twisted in my head, and I'm trying to not get the lyric wrong now that I'm trying to remember it. It was it was something about the lyric itself was a play on the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing humanity he didn't exist, or something like that. And song lyric twisted that a little bit. And then when I heard it, like I was just playing around with it in my head at work, and I turned it into the greatest trick humanity ever pulled was convincing itself the devil existed. And so then I kind of like fell into this world of, well, what if the human mind can create demons? So within the world, if a normal person gets hyper focused on an idea of some sort, they, occasionally through whatever random universe, they can create a physical manifestation of a demon that embodies whatever emotion or worry or thing that they were focused on. And then once it's in the world, it's real for the rest of the world. So there's a character who thought he was a bad person and thought he should die, like thought he deserved to die because he's such a terrible person, and he manifested a Grim Reaper style demon.
Oh wow.
And so once that demon was in the world, then it thinks it's a Grim Reaper and carries about trying to be a Grim Reaper. So then it's yeah, exactly. And there's all kinds. Some people get hyper focused on wanting to be famous. Oh, I'd give anything to be famous. So they manifest a Mephisto, which is a demon that bargains. And once it's real, it has the power to bargain for someone's soul.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. It's reminding me of something. It's reminding me of a wonderful YA series by fantastic author Jonathan Stroud. Do you know anything about his work?
I don't know.
And what do you consider, what genre do you consider, Demon Hunter in?
I would call them pretty firmly set in urban fantasy. Um, I could see humorous or dark fantasy. It's my writing tends to be a lot of fun and then suddenly turn very dark, or it's um I
Who's your
guess.
audience? Who do you see reading these books? Are these books for younger people, or are they for, mature people? Both.
Definitely an adult audience. It's the language is pretty colorful.
Oh, yeah.
um my 17-year-old son just read the first Burden book like a month ago.
Mhm.
And that was like the first time that like one of my kids, like when I first got published, my kids were like, "Oh, cool! I want to look at your book," and they were, like 5 and 6, and I was like, "I don't know about that."
Right. Right.
Um, but now he's a little older, so definitely adult focused. Even the Academy, the Vella Academy story, it's kind of funny because. So I think this may have been an earlier question, and I totally just like bum rushed past it. But the actual Academy story, I was just checking sales ranks one day for what books are popular in my genre.
I see. I see.
Just a thing that I feel like a lot of authors, I hope, occasionally do. Like, what is selling right now? And it just so happened that on the day that I looked in urban fantasy, there were like the top 10 was like 6 or 7 different Academy novels. There was, I know Harry Potter was in there, which I mean, of course, Harry Potter is always going to be there. There's the Zodiac Academy, I think it's called. I think they had like 3 books in there. And then I want to say there was one more, but I looked at it and I was like, man, apparently Academy novels are where it's at.
Yeah, it seems to
Um,
be a good trope that's still got some legs on it.
for sure. And so I like just jokingly in my head, I'm like, I was talking to a friend and I was like, hey, Academy novels are selling right now. Here's my Academy pitch. And I just wrote out a like not making fun of the genre, but just like a half sarcastic, half-hearted pitch. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write a Burden spinoff, and this is my pitch. And it stuck with me. Like it was a joke, and then all of a sudden, like I found myself at work, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, that could work, and I could see that, and oh man, I could do this, and I could bring back this character, and I could do that, and it just started, like stories take hold. It just started coming to life in my head, and one of the things for me, I always like trying to do trying to subvert expectations a little bit. So this Demon Hunter Academy, like it was my idea that the recruits at the Academy were all like kids who were like bound to be like Navy SEALs and like high level, like these kids are all smart and fit and they're going to be something, and this Demon Hunter agency scoops them up before they can get recruited to that, and they're like, well, here, come work for us. So I have it in my head that this classroom is full of all these just like strapping muscular dudes, and the main character Aiden, he's 24, he's overweight, like he's not at all meant for this world, and that's like my my kind of fun take on it, is that he definitely does not belong here, but he wants to be here.
Oh, he wants to be a demon hunter. So he's not a recruit, he's an applicant.
Yes. So he has a bit of tragic backstory going, I guess, that he finds out a little bit later in life that he has some connections to the universe of demon hunting.
Oh,
And so he finds out about this and finds out that maybe there's some things that have been kept from him as far as his own personal legacy and where he falls in the world. So that kind of spurs him to call in a couple favors and apply for this, or get into this school.
Now, are you going to carry your academy forward into, you probably don't even know this yet, into additional volumes, if it does have some legs for you,
I think so. So,
I mean, when you think about it as a writer,
Mhm.
Alex, an academy system is brilliant because the universe is small, the walls
Right.
are pulled in for you a little bit, and you can traipse new characters in, and you could take old ones out that haven't been really contributing to the story, because people are always coming and going from a school, always.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think it's brilliant, and I like how yours is written. You do have a very different writing style, and I like it. I don't know if it has a name, where you're doing a bunch of stuff in italics, and then you come into the story itself, and you had some backstory, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. We're just going to call that Alex.
I'll take that.
Because I
Maybe
don't
everyone
know
else
what
from
it
here
is.
forward.
I'm sure it has some kind of fancy name for someone who's got, their master's in creative writing or something, but that's not me. I don't know, but I really like it. I think it's nice and it's new. It's different. It's different to read, and I enjoy that. So let's see. So when did you put it up? Did I already ask you this? No. I asked you when you heard about it, but when did you upload?
First episode was April 2nd ish, very start of April.
21? Of 2021?
Yeah, 2022, just like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I was gonna say, okay, all right. Well, you said you held back. That's when it started. No, okay. So wow, just been up like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's it.
Yeah, just getting started.
Oh, well, that's totally awesome. So how have you found the community? Have you enjoyed meeting some people in the Vella community?
It's great. It's crazy. It feels like there's very much a thriving kind of community here. Very early on, I've got a friend who had been testing the waters a bit before me, and he was the one who kind of gave me the confidence to kind of come on board. He's like, hey, this is seems to be a thing. You should check it out. And he invited me to the Vella readers and marketing something group.
Right.
And I posted in there, and that's you were in the comments on that first post, the very first post I made, like the very first. I was like, hey, this is my brand new toy.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
And and you hopped on. You're like, oh wow, this is really cool. Come check us out on Vella. And I think I've gotten invited to a horror specific group also recently from that. So, but yeah, there's all of these thriving communities and a lot of writers supporting writers.
Yes.
And that's really cool. I haven't seen a ton of downers. Like, it's really cool to have this many people together and everyone to really be supporting and pushing each other. So that's really cool to see.
It is wonderful. I'm so glad you're having a good experience. I certainly am. And I think most everyone is, if they just give it a chance, just jump in, let's just give it a chance and see where you go. And I have run into very few really bad stories, I've run into a few that need polish, and I've read a lot. But in here, I'm talking like I have some kind of authority about it. I don't. I'm saying, for my personal taste, I have only found a few that I just was like, no, I don't think I can do this. And when I say a few, I mean fewer than the fingers on one hand.
Sure.
And for the tens of thousands that are out there, that's pretty small percentage. So
yeah, definitely.
This is not only a group of really nice and warm people, it's also a group of really talented people
for sure
putting stuff up out here on Vella. And so many of them, you know, like you, like me when I was younger, you know, the day job just literally sucks the ability straight out of your head to have, I call it data head. I got to where I called it data head because it changes, it literally freaking bends the way you think so that you can think like a computer, you know, so that you
Right.
can think in those, you know, logical blocks. And
Sure.
yeah, and then you come home and you got nothing. You got
Yeah.
nothing. You just got maybe some drool coming out over here. That's about it, you know, and
Yeah.
nothing to give to the muse. And night, day after day, that's it, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it's wonderful that so many, when everything stopped, you know, they remembered that they enjoyed writing,
Yeah.
and they used the writing as a whoopee blanket for themselves, you know, because everything was so cray, you know, nobody knows
Right.
what's going on. You know, people are dying. We're hearing reports about, you know, body trucks, refrigerated body trucks and stuff. We're like, ah. So I imagine that it was a really nice escape for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of them put out material that is currently on Vella, and it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I love it. So who do you read out there on Vella? That's a question for you.
Sure. So I've been all over the place. One of the coolest parts about the community is just reading a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Or, you know, like we all have our, you know, I feel like most of us have that like one like kind of home that we're like, oh, this is my genre. It doesn't, if it's in this genre, I probably like it. And 90% of the books I read are in this vein, and I want to stay in this comfortable little hole. And, you know, interacting with community, you meet all these cool people, and they're like, well, I personally, I like urban fantasy and crime fiction. But then you meet someone like, oh, here, my story is a romance, or my story is a straight horror, or my story is a high fantasy, like, or sci-fi. Like high fantasy and sci-fi are two genres that I really love to watch, and I don't generally enjoy reading as much because I'm lazy. And
So
go ahead.
science fiction, you have to think. So I know that's why I personally am not a huge consumer of science fiction. Now, once in a while, there will be one that will come around that will be so well written
Mhm.
as to not require you to constantly think. It's so well written that you get all of the details, like Gentle Rain, you know, those are
Right.
so rare, so rare. So
Yeah.
what is high fantasy? What does that mean? Does that mean Tolkien? Is that the
I
bar?
think so. For me, I'm sure someone smarter and more well-read than me probably has a very precise definition for it. But for me, it's The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and I would throw Game of Thrones in there, even though Game of Thrones is one that I really enjoyed reading. Even though I definitely like skimmed pages and pages when it came to like people's clothing or food, like, there would be like a 3-page spread talking about a feast, and I'm like, no, just dialogue, please. Like, I want to hear people talking.
By the time we got to like the 5th or 6th books, I just was like somebody who had just sat at an eating contest and consumed like 50 hot dogs. And you just put another tray down in front of it. I just can't. I can't. So is that what it means? You get stuffed goose full of facts and fantasy until you're just like,
I think, yeah. I mean, I think with, like, for me, the reason I like urban fantasy so much is since it's in an established world, you don't have to explain every single rule to me. You don't have to tell me how the city of Chicago is laid out. You don't have to tell me how cars work. You don't have to tell me what it was like to go grab a pizza or whatever. Like you don't have to explain the core of the world to me. And with both, you know, a very well thought out fantasy, very immersive, thick, whatever you want to call it, and sci-fi, you have to lay out all those. And I get like, I think I have like a phobia of big books. Like if it's like 800, 900 pages, I look at it and I just like, I don't know if I can read all that. Like I love reading like 1940s pulp novels, like 175 pages or something.
Right.
Like,
I was going to say,
cool.
people want about 200-page chunks now.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, get in, like hit me with the story, punch me in the gut, and leave me wanting more. Like that's all I want. But yeah, so it's really cool getting in Vella and meeting these authors and getting to try out some of these stories. I read a sci-fi. I had links ready so I would not forget anyone's name. And now I'm spitballing off the top of my head, and I want to say it was called The Nightmare Ship.
Oh, T.A. Uner's.
I was like initials. Like I'm pretty sure his name was initials.
It's T.A. Uner, The Nightmare Ship.
Yeah,
And
I
he's
really
gonna be
enjoyed
over
that
the
one.
moon that you're shouting him out. He's gonna lose his mind. Hi, T.A.
And then let's see, in fantasy, I am really enjoying The Monarch's Daughter by Tirzah. I hope I'm saying that right. Hawkins.
Tirzah Hawkins. Oh man, another wonderful one.
I definitely just transposed the letters of their name. I am very sorry. If you listen to this, please forgive me.
She won't say anything about that. I thought she was Tirzah for the longest time, and I called her Tizzy. So so we're Tiz and Az when we get together.
And then the other one that I'm really enjoying is Simon Graeme. He has a high fantasy, grimdark kind of necromancer novel called Dark Lament, and that one's finished. And then he's just started on another urban fantasy called Freaktown. And I was lucky enough to get to beta read that one, and it's awesome. So
Dark Lament is good. It really is. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I know all those guys. And I know all those stories too. So yeah. So I know why you like them. Yeah, I'd go read those too. So yeah, anybody looking at this, the link to not only all of Alex's prior work on Kindle will be in the description here, so you can click it and go buy it and read it. But also, of course, the link to his ongoing Vella. It is ongoing, right? You said you've got a few chapters written ahead, but you're not done.
Correct.
Okay. So that's where all these links will be, and so will the shout out links. So do you have like any camaraderie back over in the Kindle world, or are you is everybody pretty much on their own at this point? Like writers groups and stuff like that?
I've got a handful of people. I've got a friend from my first J. Taylor publishing. Like one of the best things from the J. Taylor experience was I met some really cool writers. Like aside from anything else, they had really good taste in books. So I met a lot of really cool people, and I still stay in contact with a couple of them. And, just kind of folks you pick up along the way, and you're like, oh yeah, so I keep, a handful of chat windows open at any given time just to, bounce ideas or wins and losses off of people.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that. I have a writer friend, and she's a very private person, and she doesn't really get involved in a lot of groups and stuff, but she did say that there were some early on with Kindle, because she was one that rode the original wave of like Kindle ebooks and stuff in, and is very well established now. But she said there were some, but they got catty and nasty after a time, and began to like snark at each other and faction off and stuff. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I am not.
I can't. I hope that never happens to Vella. I hope we all have sense enough to keep our, our good camaraderie going on, even when they pile another, 40,000 authors on top of us. That's probably even a small number that I'm saying there, because we are still in beta. It's clear that we're still.
Oh yeah.
And I'm enjoying it. Have you had a good experience out on Vella, other than just the people and stuff that we're talking about? Have you had a good experience with the actual, like the reads, the feedback from people who read your stuff, and the money? What do you think about the money?
So far the platform has been good. I have read on my phone forever. Going back to working in restaurants, like it was, a 3-minute break between making food in the kitchen. I could skim a couple pages. Like wasn't practical to have a book on me, but I could always have my phone on me, and I could so I've been reading on my phone for probably as long as Kindle has been an app for a phone.
Wow.
So the actual structure of short stories, I also don't have a ton of reading time. Right. So just being able to grab an episode and feel like I accomplished something is really cool. And that really speaks to kind of my own personal style of reading. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. I am I just started, so I haven't gotten even my first like royalty or bonus statement or anything. So I am completely in the dark.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. And I've heard some experiences from others, which obviously is kind of what made me want to dip my toe in the water a little bit. So I am hoping for similar results of some of my friends who have done pretty well for themselves. But I guess time will tell on that one.
Well, yes, I'm so sorry I asked that question. I knew that if I'd thought about it for 13 seconds. You will be happy. It was shocking, absolutely stunning to me. What Amazon is paying for this, because you contrast it against, just regular royalties, and it's yeah. So like, for instance, I co-write one serial and have it on both Kindle Vella and Radish. Mm-hmm. On Radish, we have not even made enough to get a cup of coffee.
Right.
And the reads are low, but they're no lower than Kindle Vella. And Kindle Vella, paid some decent money, over $100. Sure. Right. when you get from the other one, not even enough to get a latte, and then the other one you get over $100 for the same material, you're going, yes. Yes.
More of that, please. Yeah.
Yes, this is a nice bonus. I like it. I will write more now. So I love it. And I like what it does for me as a writer. Coming out of that tech world, you produce in very fast sprints. You produce and you get it done and you're done. Mm-hmm. You sit back and you're done.
Right.
As I got my career going pretty well, and wound up when COVID retired me. I was the director of a small company, and I could be a real powerhouse and keep 900 balls in the air. But let me run out of stuff to do, or run down to just one or two things that were on my list, and I would like push a piece of paper around on my desk all day, just avoiding getting that thing done or whatever. And with Kindle Vella, it just works with how I think, because I write the episodes and I feel like that's done on this for now. I'll go and write another episode for another story. And just the kind of, the episodic nature of it is very, I like it for me. And sounds like it might work for you too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely keeping me on task. Like I said, I'm usually pretty good historically about just like start to finish. Um,
I'm
but
impressed by that. That really blows my mind, especially, 23, 24, you're cranking out novels. Who cares if they're any good? You're cranking out novels. You're
yeah,
23.
exactly.
You're freaking 23. You're cranking out novels. Yeah, one in how many do that? Actually do it?
Yeah,
Lots and lots talk about it. But
for
the
sure.
percentage of people who do it, each king.
Yeah, I worked at a big box bookstore for a while, and everyone I met was an author. It was amazing. um, um,
Yeah.
and we've all, I've seen people take years to make one novel that is, I don't, uh, better is a word to use, because it could mean anything, but like I've seen people spend a lot of time to put out one perfect novel. And then I've met people who can crank out a really good novel, once every 6 months or something, or once every 3 months, or, however, everyone's got their own different speed. So I have just, for whatever, ticks that got checked in my brain, um, I usually have a pretty good time sitting down and hammering out a first draft. And first draft of a novel, and my novels are short, anywhere between like 45 and 65,000 words. So there's no 900-page novels in there at all. But I can usually knock out a first draft in like 6 to 9 weeks. And that's really good. That's my pace. It's a really good pace for me. So
That is a good pace. That's pretty fast, especially when you have a day job. That's pretty fast.
yeah, I try to just be consistent. Like 1,000 words a day is my goal when I'm on a first draft. So, some days it's like I don't want to write at all, and it's painful to get to that 1,000, but I try to get there every day. And then, some days you have a wall break and you knock out, 2,000, 2,500 in a sitting. And it's like, that felt great.
Yeah, yeah. I've done that. And I've also had grueling weeks where I've done, over 5,000-6,000 words a day and barely know where I am.
Yeah.
And that's not anything I do anymore. That would be too much. I'd be afraid I'd like set the house on fire. Just off my I don't know. That's writer head. That's a little different than data head. So
Sure.
yeah. But now if you, since you've read on your phone, you're going to be a wonderful person to ask this question of, since you've read on your phone so long.
Mhm.
If you were the keeper of the keys for all things Vella, what, if anything, would you change?
I would love to see a comments feature. I feel like Vella is a little bit fashioned after current social media trends and TikTok, and whatever short fast bursts of information, and they all have comments. So I think comments would, I think it would be, I think it's a logical progression. um I would be a little nervous about opening up all stories to comments. I feel like some negative comments might derail some folks. Like, you
Yes,
know,
many. But wouldn't it be nice? Most of those people know who they are. They know for their own self, in their own hearts, that they couldn't take it, right?
yeah.
But wouldn't it be nice if they made it like the polling option, where you could use it or not use it? You don't want to use it, don't turn it on, don't use it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely think that, if comments were a thing that they ever did, I think it should be fully up to the author as far as whether they want to enable or disable comments. They should be able to delete comments, at will, I think, and, granted, that's going to lead to some people deleting any comment that's even remotely negative.
Yeah.
Um, but it also gives, a freedom that you don't have to flag it and wait for a third party to review it and see if it's appropriate or inappropriate or not. The author should just be able to be like, no, that comment does not jive with what I want. Let's get it out of here.
Yeah, I agree. If you have comments, yes, I think they should be that malleable. Anything else?
No. If you start reading the first chapter from the homepage, there's not an option to like it, and that's real stupid. But
it is really dumb. I read a few today because I had my grandkid here today, and I can't really focus on writing right after she's been here. And so I focused on reading, and I read a few today. It was like, God almighty. I was reading them on my computer so that I could even make them a little bigger. But you had to actually go back to the first episode.
Yeah.
You would read it in the big wide thing, and it would be like no thumb. So in order to give them the thumb credit, which has some value, I know it does. I don't know the complete algorithm they're using, but I know that little blue thumb has value. So sure. Yeah, you have to go back and consciously click into episode 1 again to get the option. And
yeah,
go ahead.
And even if not, just for the algorithms and trying to climb the ranks or anything, it's good as the author to see the thumbs. You're like, oh man, 25 people read my first episode, and only 20 of them only gave me a thumbs up. What did I do to the other 5?
I know. Oh my God. Yeah. So some people contacted me right after the Kindle got it wasn't Kindle. I'm sorry. The Kindle app was available on Android. Okay. So some people got in touch with me and like, why? Why do you think? Because look, let me show you my stats. And they would maybe have 60 reads on something, but only, 30 thumbs, 40 thumbs. And so they were like, what's happening to these other people? What's going on? And then one of them contacted me. He's like, why would they read to the end? I don't understand. Why would they just binge read to the end? I don't understand. And not, what we realized, you run and get your phone real quick and take a look, because you have to swipe up on an Apple to even see the phone, to even see the thumb, I mean. So you're sitting there reading on an iOS, you have to go up like this to see it. And you have to know it's there to even want to do it, right?
Which is crazy for such a new platform that almost every user on it is a new user. I feel like it should be a little more intuitive. I consider myself a pretty tech savvy person. And it took me 3 or 4 before I was like, where in the heck is the first thumbs up? I'm smarter than this. What is happening?
Yes, I know. And yes, so it's quite the challenge. And I've had some laughs with some other guests about, educating friends and family on how to use the platform. Yes, here it is. Yes, you have to swipe back up. No, I'm sorry. I don't know why they don't put it in a more convenient place for you to get it on your Kindle. I don't know. My sister just gave up. I'm just not doing it anymore. Okay, all right, good. Thanks so much. Yeah. I don't remember you.
I'll send you a PDF when it's finished.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should have some kind of tutorial. And I've literally been thinking about it because I do know some educators in the, in computer field, and could probably help us out with some kind of little tutorial that we could put up here on Vella. And speaking of, last thing I want to ask you, young man, is what would you like to say to the people who are going to be watching this video and clicking on your stories?
I hope you have a damn good time. That is my sole goal as an author, is to make you enjoy your few minutes or couple hours with my words. I'm not trying to change your life. I'm not trying to give you the grand epiphany. If you can find just a moment of solace from this mad, mad, mad world in some of my, random bullshit, I hope language is okay. But
It is.
that is all that matters to me. So, hopefully you can find a couple minutes of solace.
I think that has been my very favorite answer to that question, which I have asked almost everyone. And I like that one very much. So on that, I don't think it gets any better than that. I think we're going to go ahead and say goodnight. And I have really enjoyed having you here. Thank you so much for allowing me to make up for my foibles in scheduling, which were legion, people. I thought I had him scheduled on 2 different days. Scared the poor guy to death last night, jumping on, oh, you ready to go? See, and then I was 30 minutes late today. So he's been quite kind. And so read his stuff, man. Give him a shot. And I do like it. And I think it's a style that is very, very edgy and I like it. So everybody, this is Azrael Lawless, and this has been another Lawless interview. This has been Mr. Alex Nader. Remember the name because he's going to stick around with us on Vella for a while. And thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Peace.